So let me just welcome interweb netizens to the Clinton Global Initiative University's live stream. Thank you for switching over from the kitten cam to the Clinton cam. I'm Stephen, of course. This is President Bill Clinton. We're about to open up the floor for questions from the audience only, so if you're raising your hand at home, please put it down. I can't see you. And you look ridiculous. So are there any questions for President? Yes, the young man right there with his hand up. Let's get a mic to that guy standing up right there. What's your name? What's your question?
Thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for your question. Let's move on. Move on to somebody else.
Okay, here we go.
Yes.
Oh, come on. My name is Rustin Merriweather, and my question is directed toward President Clinton. I know that he has a great love for playing the saxophone, and we're in the process of putting together a Clinton Global Initiative band, and we wanted to ask you if you'd rekindle your love for it and play with us.
Actually, it depends on when and where. I don't have any of my horns here. But I am starting to play again a little bit. I didn't play for years. I stopped for 3 or 4 years. But I'm starting to play a little again.
I was lucky enough to be at the Kennedy Center Honors and hear President Clinton's tribute to Sonny Rollins. And if words were energy, he could have split the atom with how much you were loving Sonny Rollins that night. It was one of the, I'm sure you just made it up on the spot. It was one of the greatest speeches I've ever seen.
No, I thought about it all day long. I mean, I went back and listened to Sonny's 3 of his albums. You remember I said that?
Yeah.
Over each, at the beginning, the middle, and the end of his career. And I mean, when he was 82 years old, he does this concert in Harlem that just blew my socks away. And he actually reprimanded me. He said, you shouldn't say that. I wasn't very good that night. I didn't do anything new. The guy's 82. He's still trying to do something new on his horn. He's a genius. Anyway.
All right, let's go on to the next. There's a young lady right over there in the aisle.
Hi, I'm Myra. My question is, how do you get people to care about a commitment that relates to a dark, depressing subject, such as sex slavery, that no one wants to talk about?
Well, I think you have to talk about it. And, most people don't know how much sexual slavery there still is in the world today. But I think we have to get people who do know and who are serious about it, who are widely recognized, to talk more about it. For years, Ashley Judd did a lot of work on this. She went back to Harvard when she was at the maximum earning point in her movie career. She walked away from it, went back to Harvard, got a degree, and she's not somebody who just had like a foundation and checked the box. She's been in rat-infested hovels in South Asia, sitting on the beds of prostitutes who were sold into prostitution when they were 11 and 12 years old. I think you have to visualize these things and call them out. And then you have to find people who are actually doing something about them. And there are a lot of groups in the world that have navigated very dangerous circumstances trying to liberate kids from bondage, including a lot of young boys that are sold into indentured servitude for labor because of their parents can't get any credit. And there's a big story in the New York Times last week. You all see the picture of the 6-year-old girl in Afghanistan where the father had to borrow money to save his wife's life to get health care, and he's afraid he's not going to be able to pay it back, and the 6-year-old daughter was collateral. That's the story of life for millions of people throughout the world. But I think there are a lot of people working on it. I actually at CGI one year tried to raise the visibility of this, and I want to do it again.
That young man right over there.
Thank you, Mr. President, for being a very great source of inspiration to me and millions of people around the world. My question is, given the whole lot of job you are doing in the initiative, what's the single biggest challenge you encounter?
What's the single biggest challenge you encounter in trying to achieve the goals of the initiative?
Trying to get enough money and enough people mobilized against a particular object. That is, The great thing about CGI is it's created a global network of giving. It's not like the government where we say, this is what we're going to do. But the bad thing is, sometimes, no matter how good something is, it doesn't echo, it doesn't pick up enough support, it doesn't swell out. You know, what I wanted always when I started was for the worthiest of our projects to be seen and understood well enough to get a dramatically higher number of people involved in them, either providing skill and support or money. And that's the hardest thing to do.
Is there a particular project that you had your heart set on that didn't get off the ground the way you wanted?
Well, there are several, but I'll give you one that's mundane because it's something all of you can do something about. I started years ago with my climate change initiative working with universities, among others, and trying to persuade the administration to get all the energy service companies together and offer whatever kind of tax incentives we had to retrofit every building in America over a certain size. Would create 1 million jobs, lower power bills. My foundation directly worked on the Empire State Building. It's the oldest big building in the world, 1931, that's got a LEED rating. And they cut the utility usage and the emissions 40%. So, and I agreed to co-chair the President's Green Buildings program. But there's a lot of moving parts, and we have still, after all this time of slow job growth, you saw how bad the job numbers were last month, we still just barely scratched the surface. I got the AFL-CIO promised $10 billion to this, and they've actually done a good job of keeping their commitment. They keep rolling out the money, and we're doing what we can. Washington University has a very good record, as the chancellor reminded me the other day, of, green buildings. There are a lot of good things going on, but we seem incapable as a country of doing things on a large scale if whatever the thing is has a lot of moving parts. And thousands and even hundreds of thousands of people have to agree to do the same thing, even if it's a simple thing. And we're missing the boat here. That's just one example.
That young man in the white shirt right over there.
Sure. Hi, my name is Davis Lau, and both of you are huge inspirations to me. My question is actually for you, Colbert. I'm glad you're excited. So, aside from abolishing ATM fees, what would you select to be your commitment if you were part of us here at the...
I'm old-fashioned, I have a very Dickensian view of charity. Widows and starving children are, I don't know how to apply technology to that, but like people who have no one to care for them. There's so many people, whether it's people, sexual slavery, whether it's people who are abandoned people, individuals. And I know that everyone is helped by all the initiatives that make the world a better place to live in for those people, but people who just have no one to care for them. A child who doesn't have enough to eat kills me to consider. So it would be something with child poverty or availability of food around the world.
That warms my heart to hear.
Okay, thanks, friend. Let's go, that guy right there. That young man with the tie on. Yeah, you got to come out. We don't have a guy wire system to fly her in.
Hi. I'm proud to say that when I was young, I voted for you, Mr. Clinton. Even though if it was not really the case, because I called into Fox Kids Network, but I did vote for you.
Wait, did he win on Fox Kids Network?
Well, he called me back on the phone immediately after I voted, and he thanked me, and he did win. Yeah, so I think it counted. But my question to you is, hypothetically, if we could elect you again, would you take 8 years as presidency again, or would you do guaranteed 16 Clinton Global Initiatives?
Would you rather have 8 more years as president or to sort of complete 16 of the initiatives that are going on right now?
I would rather keep doing what I'm doing because I think America will have some very good choices for president. And I think that, except in unusual circumstances, the two-term limit is a good thing. I wouldn't necessarily be against it. It wouldn't cover me, but so I will say this. I would be uncovered. If they wanted to change the rule to say 2 terms and then you can lay out and then be brought back because people are living longer and doing better for future people, that would be okay with me. But I would personally rather keep on doing what I'm doing for as long as I can possibly do it, because I think I have learned how to do it, and I'm not sure anyone else would be doing this. Whereas I'm quite sure there'll always be a lot of talented people who are dying to be president of the United States.
Let's go. There's a young lady back there in the aisle, right there. Yes, you waving your hand right there.
Hey, can I speak something? I came out here from Los Angeles, a professor
hold on one second.
from UCLA.
Hold on, that young lady right back there. She was first, then you can go.
Okay.
That young lady, go ahead.
Hi. My name is Julia Zuckerbrod. I'm from Duke University. And my question is, President Clinton, in traveling around the world and being able to see your work in action, what was the one thing that kind of struck you the most that you kind of saw was the biggest problem or needed the most work?
What is...
Well,
sorry.
When I started, it was that people were dying like flies from AIDS. But there's been a lot of progress in healthcare generally in the last decade. And if you want to go on the Gates Foundation's website and read Bill Gates' last letter, he chronicles all the progress that's been made across the board in healthcare. It's very good. So today, I think the biggest problem is economics and jobs. And I feel, I said something about this before, if I could wave a magic wand and bring to smallholder farmers in Africa and remote parts of East Asia and in the poorer parts of Latin America and Central America, things that I know would allow them to be self-sustaining and to feed their neighbors and even to export food, it would make a big difference. If I could implement some of the things that I know will generate more jobs, I would do that. You can't have all these young people growing up into the world, even if they get an education, not being able to get a job. One of the reasons so many people were in Tahrir Square is that the Egyptians kept producing 400,000 college graduates a year and nowhere near 400,000 jobs for college graduates to do. It is a global crisis. So it's in the rural world, it's agriculture. In the urban world, it's jobs. And I see it everywhere.
Last question, this young man who I interrupted.
Thank you. I came out here because a professor from UCLA opened my eyes to a few things. And I realized we have a serious problem with mental health care in this country. And simply adding more money won't help it. It's not going to fix it. What do you think about this, Bill? What's your take?
Well, actually, this is interesting. I just was out in L.A. at the dedication of a community mental health facility which had both living quarters for young people with mental health issues, and on the second floor of this facility, which is also a platinum building, LEED's building, and the bottom part provided community facilities to 1,200 young people a week with mental health issues. And I think that in general, the United States has not done enough on this front, basically on community services and support services. And one of the big issues, interestingly enough, after the terrible shooting tragedy in Connecticut, was whether or not, without destroying people's privacy, we could have a background check law on gun purchases that would give us adequate mental health information. We've now gone through Newtown and Virginia Tech, where in both cases, unlike some of the other mass shootings, We should have been able to pick this up, and something should have been done. And the people who committed the murders might have been saved, as well as all the people they killed. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are lots of people that are just lost and wandering out there, and our society still hasn't picked them up. But I did try to go out there and support this project in Los Angeles. And interestingly enough, Kobe Bryant's charity was there too. They put a lot of money into this facility, and I think we need to get more. You're going to have to do this. We need more federal money, but under the current budget circumstances, I think we should be pushing for more community facilities like the one I've visited and dedicated in Los Angeles.